What up, guys? I'm former UFC fighter and current owner of Easton Training Center, Elliot Marshall.
I'm Scott Nickel, teaching pastor at Flatirons Community Church.
Scott, am I fucking going to hell?
Yes.
Welcome to the Saint.
And the Sinner. Sinner. Elliot's been gone to Jersey for a little while, so we're filming on a Thursday instead of a Monday. So Jersey was good, though.
The dirty Jersey, a little time on the East Coast is always good. The food is what is so good out there.
What's good? What's distinctive?
I don't know. Anything?
The seafood?
So one, the seafood. Two, the Italian. The Italian is off the hook.
I can't eat Italian food.
Really?
No, any kind of pasta jacks me up.
This would be worth it.
Really?
Oh yeah, I mean after I
had a bad experience recently.
But I'm hearing your El Diablo story. So obviously Mexican jacks you up too.
Well, any hot dog named El Diablo is probably not the right decision.
This is worth the jacking up.
All right.
So like if you go get seafood, like a seafood pasta.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If you order like a shrimp scampi, there's like 4 shrimp on the plate.
Right.
And it's $30 or $25. Well, that is not like if somebody came out with that in New Jersey or in Philadelphia, they would get the plate thrown at them.
Yeah.
So like when you get a seafood pasta, you have like a lobster tail. Not like a big one, but like a mini one.
Yeah.
Probably 7 shrimp. 5 scallops, mussels and clams.
I like seafood. I can eat seafood all the time.
The plate's as big as your computer. It's awesome.
I can eat seafood all the time.
So just eat a little bit of the pasta and some seafood.
I just get a different seafood dish without the pasta.
You could do that too.
Yeah, that's what I would do.
But there's something about seafood pasta that's so good.
So that was good.
And they have this stuff called water ice, which is just amazing. I'm not even good. Just look up Rita's Italian water ice someday, and you'll see it. It's like trying to explain to someone what sex feels like before you have it.
That's a good lead into today too.
It's a great lead.
That's right. Yeah. So there's been some stuff that was going on. I will tell you that, and I want to save this for another podcast at some point, but I listened to all of Sam Harris on Joe Rogan's podcast from this past week. And
I'll have to listen to it.
It's 3 hours long, and I got through all of it because I wanted him to get to the good stuff. And the first 2 hours are just like
bullshit,
throwaway stuff, like not even the stuff I want to hear you guys talk about. And finally, in the last hour, they get down to all his free will stuff, and Rogan really kind of wrestled through a lot of it. And at the end, he was like, "I think I agree with a lot of what you're saying, but I don't see why it really matters." So, but I do have one observation. He said. One thing he said was he found Martin Luther King Jr.'s way of delivering speeches dishonest, which I thought was interesting.
Really?
Yeah, he talked about how he doesn't like public speakers in general who get real emotional. Like he did. So if you ever watch Sam Harris, he's just like straight across the board.
Yeah.
He says he tries to be conversational, which in some sense he is. He's just not. You can't get a rise out of him either way. No matter what. So. He doesn't like preachers. He doesn't like,
That's a shock.
Yeah, big shock. So
I bet you black ones especially.
And that's what I think he kind of has backed himself into a corner a little bit on Martin Luther King. But I was shocked to hear him say it. He was just like, I find that to be a very dishonest way of delivering a speech. He's like, just deliver your content, which sounds nice, but when you look at what Martin Luther King Jr. was fighting for, obviously that's a pretty passionate topic.
I bet you all the people on the Facebook page would love if I just delivered my content.
Right, yeah, just without the passion. And I actually thought of that too. I'm like, it's because things matter, bro. Like, not everybody just thinks on a neuroscience, wavelength like he does, So he's just like, but even then he kind of contradicted himself because he said he realized when he delivers lectures, at some point he has to deliver a laugh line.
Yeah.
Because you have to know if the audience is still with you.
Sure.
And the only way to get that feedback is to say something funny. Because if you say something funny, and I know this, if you say something funny and nothing happens, you lost them a long time ago. Or your joke was just really bad. But, so yeah, he contradicted
I make fun of the joke when I say something funny and nobody laughs, then I say, "What's the matter with you guys? You can't laugh. That was a joke."
Yeah.
Like I put it on them again.
Yeah,
I couldn't be wrong.
I do the same thing in front of 4,000 people.
Yeah.
Come on, people, that was funny.
It's always great when
this thing's on. This is the part where you laugh, yeah. So there are a couple other things.
I know church is boring, but come on.
Hey, you've been to my church, man. We're not boring.
Yeah, you're right. Just, it's not boring at all. There's so many people in there that you can't be bored.
Mm-hmm. At the very least, it's good people watching.
And there's so many people, it can't be bored.
For sure. It's like
how about the first time I ever go to Flatirons, which is my first church actual experience.
Right.
I have Vinny Lopez, who we just talked to.
Yeah.
His dad had been begging me, telling me that I'm going to go to church at some point. I'm going to go. And like, man, so I walk in the door, and I go to sit down, and there's probably 5,000 people in the door. And who do I sit right behind but Mr. Lopez? And I was like, holy shit, that is hilarious.
Vinny
The odds. Yeah.
And Evelyn went crazy when she saw you.
Yeah, he did too. He was like, oh my God, you're doing it. And I'm like, one time. This is a one-off thing.
Scott tricked me. Yeah. So he said a few other things. He basically boiled it down to we're all robots. That was a quote. So that has some consequences, which I thought was interesting. But I think we should talk about that one at some
Another
point.
day.
While you were gone, the Dillashaw-Barao rematch did not happen.
How crazy was that,
Nuts. Right? How often have you ever seen somebody have to bow out?
Two guys on the same card bowed out.
Right. That whole card got decimated.
Yeah.
There was I don't know how they sold it on pay-per-view. I didn't see the gate, but it had to be terrible.
The gate, people already had the tickets.
Right.
You know?
The pay-per-views.
But the pay-per-views probably, who knows, because they don't change the advertising.
No. And it was the day before.
Yeah. So if you're not a hardcore fan, and you already you're looking at it, watching it, and going, I'm going to buy this, and you buy it, and then it's not, you know.
And so everybody knows.
And I've done that with boxing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I've done that with boxing. Bought a boxing match and something happened, but I wasn't a hardcore fan. I'm like, this is not what I, and then you're a little upset.
Yeah, I mean, so Renan Barão, who was the champion, Dillashaw beat him 3 months ago in spectacular fashion. He's cutting weight, stands up too quickly, getting out of the tub. They said he fell and hit his head.
This happened to Tyler once, but I caught him.
Did you?
Yeah, so this does
I would
happen.
imagine it would happen. I mean, I get lightheaded just standing up once I've been sitting here for a while.
If you've been sleeping too, when you sleep, you know?
Right.
Yeah, this happens. It's not an unheard of thing.
It was too soon for that rematch anyway.
It was too soon. It was too soon for Barão.
Barão was hurt.
Barão took a beating.
Yeah, he had a bad concussion.
Beating.
And kept fighting.
And the whole fight, everyone tries to say, the damage done to your body with football, the damage done to your body through a hard fight is does not heal in a couple weeks.
Yeah, it's interesting. I asked Neil about this the other day because Neil's a good, faithful follower of Jesus. He comes to church and stuff. So
he does.
He did the other day. He was at church.
Oh, with his girl probably, right?
Yeah, he was at church the other day. And so anyway, I was like, any injuries out of the last fight? Because every fighter I've ever known, usually there's this, after the fight, even if you didn't think you were hurt, you're like, oh, my knee, oh, my toe, whatever. Yeah. He's like, no, I was training just the other day.
He got another fight.
Did he already?
He's got another fight.
When?
October 25th, going to Brazil.
Good Lord. 5 fights in a year.
5 fights. This keeps the possibility open for 6.
Keep rolling. He's not hurt, right?
No.
Jeez. So are you going to go to Brazil?
I don't know. He's in the DR right now.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Brazil, man.
So this is where again I think the UFC is wrong. They pay for one cornerman normally, right? You need more than one cornerman,
especially if you're going to Brazil.
So now it's then I understood the one cornerman domestic, and then I disagree with it. I'm sorry. They should pay for 2 cornermen and 2 hotel rooms.
Yeah.
And they pay for 1 and 1.
Right.
So a lot of times you're sleeping on top of each other. So anyway, but they only did domestic for a really long time.
Right.
But now that they're going to these places where it's $1,000 to take another cornerman.
Right.
And you don't
need help, man.
Yeah,
you're going to be cutting weight in another country and the way that it's not boxing.
Yeah. You can't just take your boxing coach.
Right. You got to have input from several people.
You're not just going to take one coach. You need another one.
Right.
So to take another coach, it's $1,000.
Right.
Right.
Well, good for Neil.
Good for
Neil.
That's
awesome. I did have a question about boxing. Yeah. Because I wore my Joe Frazier shirt today. It made me think about it. If I could pick one super fight, take anybody from one era to another era, it doesn't matter. You just pick somebody like a video game that's going to fight each other. In boxing, who would you pick? I'll give you mine.
Go ahead.
So mine's Tyson and Joe Frazier. And a lot of people say Tyson and Muhammad Ali, but I wouldn't want to see that fight. I want to see 2 guys who had a very similar style, who both pushed forward at all times, fight each other. Sugar Ray Leonard and Floyd Mayweather Jr. That would be a good one. That would be some serious speed matched up. I go Sugar Ray.
I go Sugar Ray because he has power too.
A lot more power, and he would go offensive, and I think Mayweather would
put pressure. Nobody could avoid his pressure.
Right.
You know, and for sure he lost. You know, but he lost in the day where boxing was way better.
Oh, the people he had to fight.
Boxing was so much better in the 80s.
All those guys.
Boxing was so much better in the 80s.
Yeah.
It's like comparing winning an NBA championship now.
Yeah.
It does not matter.
Yeah.
If you won an NBA title from the 80s, from 1980 to I'd say 2000, I'll give a couple of years after MJ retired, it was still pretty good.
The people you had to go through.
Yeah.
You had to run through Magic and Bird and Thomas and Jordan and, Barkley and Malone and, just right on that list.
And same thing, Hagler, Hearns, fucking Durant.
Who fought in all these different weight classes.
Monsters, monsters.
Yeah, that'd be the one. That would be a good fight too.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what would happen with Tyson and Frazier. I think Tyson's faster. He was a lot faster than Frazier.
Frazier's defense wasn't good enough.
No.
Frazier's defense wasn't good enough, and Tyson could pressure too much.
Yeah.
And he would stay in his face. Frazier was never good getting pushed backwards.
Yeah.
That's why Tyson pushed everybody backwards.
Yeah, and Foreman destroyed Frazier.
Just pushing him backwards.
Yeah, just being a bully.
And Tyson was the epitome of bully.
Yeah, and people don't understand what a good boxer Tyson was either, I don't think. I mean, his footwork, head movement was all in he was so fast, he threw combinations faster than anybody I've ever seen.
And he had heavyweight, that's for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. So that'd be the one.
Yeah.
All right, so NFL starts tonight.
Tonight.
So who are you picking for the Super Bowl?
I'm going with the Broncos again.
You are?
It's not gonna be much different. Okay, so you got to go barring any injuries.
Yeah.
Peyton goes down and the Broncos are fucked.
Right? We've seen that story before. Yeah.
Barring any injuries, anything major happening, it's going to be the Broncos in Seattle or San Francisco.
Yeah, San Francisco keeps getting guys suspended and everything.
Yeah.
So, of course, so do the Broncos at this point, Mr. Wes Welker.
But they're only 4 games. It doesn't those guys don't matter.
Yeah.
Prater's dumb though. Prater drank a fucking beer.
Prater. I've heard that Prater is a party animal, the kicker. Yeah, get after it, man.
On a football team.
So if you believe his story, he just had a beer because he's not allowed to drink at all.
Yeah.
Because he got a DWI or DUI or whatever. Mm-hmm. So he just had a beer at his house, is what he said.
Yeah, and then they showed up and tested him or something. I
don't know. That sounds weird to me. But all right, whatever.
And Welker.
And then you got Welker at the Kentucky Derby. Somebody's trying to date rape Wes Welker. So he got popped for Adderall. Technically, is what he got popped for, right? But he was basically he had ecstasy in his drink.
Yeah.
So. And they've known for a while that he was going to get suspended.
Yeah.
So it just now came out. That's going to hurt, but the Broncos will be fine.
They're going to be fine. They might lose Sunday.
Yeah.
They might lose Sunday, that's for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, against the Colts.
Yeah.
But they were going to be dealing without Welker anyway because he's going to get a concussion every time he gets touched.
Yeah.
So, party on, Wes.
And I always wonder the truth behind it,
Yeah, I do too.
I always wonder what really happened.
Well, they said he was like making it rain at the Kentucky Derby. He's like throwing out $100 bills, man. He's having a good time. He hit a big bet. He hit the trifecta or something.
Did he really?
He won some money, but I mean, for him,
who cares?
Yeah, so he's making it rain.
Yeah.
For the white slot receiver at the Kentucky Derby.
Easy, Scott.
Just making it rain.
His race has nothing to do with it.
I think it's funny. So I just realized I have a Promise Keepers mug today.
Oh, yay.
They send me swag.
I'm sure they do.
They've been trying to get me to come teach.
Promise Keepers, is this Promise Keepers continued, honoring Jesus Christ through the Lord's worship, pursuing vital relationships with a few brothers to help him keep his promises.
Brothers, ERS?
Brothers, yeah,
okay.
Not brothers.
All right. Just wanted to check.
Participating spiritual, moral, ethical, and sexual purity. You fucking dirty heathen. Building strong marriages and families through love, protection, and biblical values. Excellent. Supporting his church by praying for his pastor. Damn, you have a lot of people praying for you.
You should be praying for me.
What's that?
You need to be praying for me daily. I have the 4th most stressful job in the country.
What do you mean, man? You don't fucking work.
I'm sitting right here. This is stressful.
Well, then you're fucking
This is
cheap.
rough.
Hell yeah. What is sexual purity? What do you have to do to be sexually pure?
What do you have to do?
Yeah.
Well, I think, where's that? What number was that one? Pursuing by, number 3. Practicing spiritual, moral, ethical, and sexual purity.
What's sexual purity?
So that leads us in.
Yeah, that's it. you can't get 2 knuckles deep. You get 2 knuckles deep.
I think that's impure. Yeah, at that point, that's what I think. All right, so
What if it's not a male though? What if it's? I mean, is that pure? Or is that not
game
pure?
on? It's game on.
What's that?
Yeah, whatever you want. Whatever you want to do. Get after it. It's Jay's doing hand signals. He's getting ready for the NFL. He's just calling in plays.
Jay's calling a holding over there.
Oh man. So yeah, that's our topic for today. So you've been wanting to talk about sex for a while. Salt and pepper over there. Let's talk about sex.
Yeah.
All right. So can I volley it back and ask a question first?
Sure.
All right. So what do you think the ultimate point of sex is?
Enjoyment. No, the ultimate point, procreation.
Okay.
Yeah, like we have sex to procreate.
All right.
You know.
Yeah.
And it is very enjoyable.
Right.
You know.
So secondarily,
especially for us.
enjoy.
I mean, because even when it's fucking terrible, it's the best thing ever.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day,
it's awesome.
We drew a good card in that, for sure. You know, you don't have to find anything on this. There it is. You know, there's no searching involved.
No, there's no searching. Yeah. I'm almost always in the mood.
Yeah.
A headache will make my headache go away.
That's right. It's better than Advil, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
I said this to my wife once. So so good. So she's so sick during her first trimester, right? Of our second kid, and I look at her, and I go, "Why don't you try masturbating?" And she goes,
she looks at you.
She looks at me. She goes, "What?" And I'm like, "Yeah, babe. When I was home sick from school when I was a kid, all the time, you know." And I was like, "And you feel better for 10 seconds. At least you feel better for 10 seconds." And she looks at me and she goes, "Are you the only one that did this?" I'm like, "No, all my friends did too." You know? And she's like, "You guys are so fucked up. What is the matter with you?" And I'm like,
that just highlights.
It's just how we are.
Differences between men and women.
I'm like, she's like, "Are you really telling me to do this?" And I'm like,
just throwing it out there.
I'm like, I'm not saying that we have to have sex. I'm just saying for your own personal 10 seconds, 20 seconds, get after it.
Oh man. Well, so here's where some of the fundamental differences will be, and this is where a lot of our conversations, tend to be. They divide at this point. Is that so? If you're a Christian and you presuppose that there's a God, the view of sex, the healthy one, is that
your view, not the view.
Right. The Christian view. The Christian view. So is that there's something much greater and higher going on than just this physical connection, which is awesome in and of itself. But it's not just procreation, and it's not just enjoyment. That the act of a man and woman who are married coming together sexually reflects and images something about God. So the way the Bible frames it up is that the two become one. And I'll go.
I've had a friend use that line on somebody.
The two become one?
Yeah, let's become one, baby.
How'd that go?
What's that?
Did it work?
Yeah.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because that plays.
She laughed at him
emotions.
afterwards.
Of course. Yeah.
You know, like she was my freshman year of college room. My girlfriend, my freshman year of college, that was a roommate. I've never forgotten this line.
Yeah.
And like somebody used it on the roommate.
Yeah.
And she actually had sex with him, and then came back in the room like the next day, and everyone was just fucking laughing. It was hilarious.
Right.
Let's become one.
Yeah, there you go.
Great.
Rico Suave.
Yeah, fuck yeah.
So the Bible describes God as one of the most famous things that Jewish people would recite is known as the Shema. The Lord our God is one. And the word is ehad, which means basically whole, complete, that kind of thing. And so when the Bible talks about the two becoming one, it's the same word. So there's a sense in which man and woman coming together sexually in the context of marriage reflects who God is, who gave us this great gift of sex. So it's for the Christian. It's not just procreation. It's not just enjoyment. It is those things, but it's also something much higher.
What is it for the donkey?
Much more sacred. Do what?
The donkey. But the donkey has sex too, and it procreates.
Right.
I mean, what is it for them too? Because we are just a mammal, right?
This is
where your argument falls apart, because we're just a mammal. Right?
Well, no, that's we don't think that we're just mammals. That's
I know,
we divide on this.
I know, but that's what we are. We're just a mammal, right?
So let's do it like they do on the Discovery Channel.
Yeah,
what was that song? Bad Touch, is that what it's called?
Yeah.
You and me, baby, ain't nothing but mammals.
Yeah, but that's all we are,
Do
right?
like they do on
and the mammals before us had sex and procreated, and then all the way back, there's just been sex.
Right.
From the beginning of time, 4 billion years
But
ago.
you have to admit there's a fundamental difference between us and other mammals, because
only the fact that we have some consciousness.
Well, yeah, but that's a huge difference,
Yeah, but did God give them sex to them? Because they do the same act and procreate.
Sure, absolutely, but they don't have the consciousness to replicate.
Yeah, I know, they're fucking lucky. They can bang their chick and leave, and she doesn't get mad.
Right, but on the serious level, you would never accuse a cheetah of rape.
No, of course not.
But you would accuse a person of rape, right? So it's different for humans. So there's something fundamentally different for humans about sex.
I disagree with you.
But you have to agree with that, because otherwise, why can't you just go out there and prey on women all you want? Why is that not okay?
Because our society has set it up that you can't.
But why did they do that? What made society go, we're different?
We can think a little more, right? You can't
a lot more.
So we can for sure think, but it's no different. I don't see. So I just don't see it. It's like, I guess I'd ask the same questions our dogs in heaven, and things like that, and donkeys and.
I had a kid ask me that in the lobby this weekend.
Nice. What'd you say?
Because I think
his dog just died, didn't it?
He didn't say that.
All right.
I asked him that. He said no.
I'm gonna tell Kanan that shit when Max dies.
You're gonna tell him that the dog's in heaven?
Then I might.
But do you tell Kanan there's a heaven?
What's that?
Do you tell Kanan there's a heaven?
This will be the first time. If he's losing it, and I might help him out.
You're gonna pull that one out?
I might, and then try to explain it to him later. But he asks such good questions. I fucking love my kid.
Well, that's the thing is when he had me like 5 or 6 questions, and his parents kind of walked away, and I was like, "Hey man, I got 4 kids. My kids ask harder questions than anybody's ever asked me in this lobby, so I'm kind of used to that." But but you have to admit there's a difference though between sexual relationships between people.
It's just consciousness. The difference in everything is consciousness.
Which is huge.
Right? Which is huge.
Yeah.
Right? It's just a bigger brain.
Yeah.
It's just a bigger, more developed brain through evolution. That's all that it is.
Okay.
And I know you give it to God, but we can actually scientifically see what it is. Like we have this, they don't, and there's a reason for it.
But if procreation is the ultimate, end game of sex, then why restrain yourself to monogamy?
Why?
Yeah.
Societies work a little better that way.
But if procreation is the number one end game.
But we've gotten to a point, right, where polygamy doesn't work so well, we've seen, right? We've gotten to a point where you can see that there is some emotional thing with the sex, right? Mm-hmm. Because of consciousness. Right? So me banging your wife and you banging my wife, and me having a kid with your wife and you having a kid with mine would cause some friction.
Yeah, it doesn't go
right? So therefore, a little bit, huh? Just
that makes the neighborhood a little weird.
Like it just doesn't, on a societal level, it just doesn't work because people get very attached to this sex thing, and it's just a level of consciousness of the brain.
But only because people don't, in practice, adhere to what you're saying should be the ultimate belief. So if people would just get over it and just go, you know what, the number one reason for sex is procreation, we could actually get after it and just do that all we wanted, like they do in the animal kingdom. And
I don't know if that would work. I don't know if it would work.
It wouldn't work. It absolutely wouldn't. But I say it wouldn't work because there is something much bigger going on with sex, and it's a spiritual level thing that's going on.
I know, and this is just where we disagree, but you just give all this credit to God, and I think He's not there.
Well, but we have some evidence.
No, we don't.
You just spoke to it, that when two people...
No, we don't have any evidence of God.
Well, but the evidence is that there is a spiritual, emotional, whatever you want to call it, thing that goes on that doesn't go on between the two dogs out here on the street corner.
I just told you that.
She doesn't go, why didn't you call?
Mm-hmm.
The dog doesn't call and go, you didn't, even ask me, how I was doing today before you had sex with me. There's never been any regret in the animal kingdom, shame. There's none of that. But that all exists, with us. I would say that's evidence of...
No, it's evidence that our brain is bigger. And we can actually think on a conscious level, and the dog can't.
But actually, if the number one reason to have sex is to procreate, then the animal kingdom's actually got it they're more enlightened than us.
No, they're not.
Because they're just adhering to their number one.
They're more animalistic.
Yeah,
right? But then, so for us, other factors start to come to take over, right? You want to see your kids.
Yep.
Right? The animal, you do.
Yeah.
Right?
Most of the time. Not always, but yes.
Sure. You know what I mean? Like, you have an attachment to it. And it has nothing to do with your wife, really.
Sure, those are relationships that
are separate. You know what I mean? Like, that's yours, and you the second the first one comes out, your whole life goes crazy, right? You're like, man, I didn't, and that's just a consciousness.
Right.
Where animals don't have that.
Exactly.
Exactly. And we're not going to disagree on this point, right? Sure. But it's just a consciousness, and we know exactly what it is. And this is one of my biggest beefs: is you guys give these things that we know, you give it to God, and it's not.
But you can't explain why we have consciousness either.
Our brain's bigger.
No, that doesn't explain why we have consciousness.
We're able to think on a greater level.
But that doesn't explain why we're self-aware.
As does and when we're gone, if the world makes it, when we're gone, and there's another species, it most likely will be slightly more conscious than we are.
Okay.
Right, and this is just how it works.
Yeah, but you can't explain why.
No, I can't explain why. Maybe we can. See, this is the thing. I might not be able to because I might not know how smart we are, but maybe we can. And there's so much
of the
brain.
To Sam Harris.
And there's so much. There's so much of the brain that we just don't know yet.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And maybe the next species down the road, they'll be able to know.
Yeah.
This is the great thing. Every time that we don't know something, you guys just give it to God, right?
Yeah, because we're willing to do. This is one of the things that strikes me is kind of funny. And we a long time ago had this interaction on the Saint and Sinner page with some of the guys, Ian and some of those guys, and I love those guys. A lot of
you
times,
like my team, and I just don't like yours, and they don't like me.
I like your team. I still need to grab a beer with you.
I know you like my team, and I don't like yours. You know who I like? I like the girls on the Saint and Sinner. Yeah. They're nice, Yeah. They can handle much better.
Yeah.
They don't think with so much damn testosterone. They can get outside themselves.
You bring the fight or flight out in people, maybe.
I know.
Yeah. Huh.
I do, and then they get confident over the keyboard.
Oh, everybody's got big caveman Samoan balls behind the keyboard.
Everyone gets confident over the keyboard.
Yeah. So where was I going? Oh, so one of the things that I kind of observe is that because there's a lot of points of agreement I have with Sam Harris and several other people, but they take this very, very long, lengthy way to get there and jump through lots and lots of hoops and things like that to arrive in a place that I think Jesus was standing all along. So I'll just give you an example that has nothing to do with sex, and then we'll
get back to the sex.
Yeah. So
because we're kind of on God.
Yeah. One of the things Sam Harris said was. He thinks we can arrive in a place where you could actually love your enemies when we realize that nobody's actually ultimately responsible for their actions. So now you can actually have love and concern for this poor guy who's a serial killer who just drew a bad lot in life. And he goes, actually, turns out Jesus was right in his whole thinking about loving your enemies, which I thought was really funny.
I've never told you. I don't think what Jesus said was
No, I know. And all I'm trying to illustrate is Sam Harris has done all this hard work and written books and done all these hoops and science experiments to arrive in this place that Jesus was standing all along.
Because he doesn't just believe in bullshit for the sake that it was told to you and getting through fear.
Well, this is...
Through a fear.
No, Jesus doesn't create any fear.
So what happens if you don't believe it?
So let me get back to the sex thing.
It's so fear. But
let me get back to the sex thing. And I think sex is one of those things where, Jesus, the Bible, says, okay, listen, here's the way sex works best. This is the way it's going to play out best for you. One man, one woman in the context of marriage. Do that. Don't don't step outside of those bounds. It's actually going to work better in this context. This is where you'll get maximum enjoyment. This will be great. You know.
I disagree with you.
Okay, then let's get to that. And then what we have is you know, you sitting here today going, well, monogamy works better for society. You know, well, you know, I use this example back on the Saint and Sinner page of like, you know, when Jesus gives the example about how lust can be harmful and detrimental. Turns out, you know, when we study pornography and its effects on the brain, it's actually really detrimental. You know, so what I'm saying is that Jesus is standing in this place where he's
look what you just did. You went from lust to watching a lot of porn.
Well, what's the point?
Because I can watch some porn.
What's the point of porn?
What's that?
What's the point of porn? It's to feed lust, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Right.
But you can. It's just like everything else. You guys go to this huge extreme, right? If you're sitting on your internet, like on your computer, like, oh yeah, watch this. What time is it? All right, I got 4 hours. Go. YouPorn. Go.
Right.
This is bad.
Okay.
Right?
Why?
But what's that?
Why?
Because it is going to chemically rewire your brain.
It does.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
But hold on, sorry.
You broke something.
But if you happen to watch some porn sometimes,
happen to,
yeah,
like,
I know,
just accidentally.
and I don't know where the line is.
Yahoo search,
you know,
awry. Yeah.
Man, if you don't have your own website, Scott, come on, bro. I'll fucking give you some.
I don't need any.
You know. Then what's the big deal? It's just some people having sex. It's not this. You guys just put it in this gross, disgusting act. And yes, if you were just inundating yourself with porn, like you're inundating yourself with violence, or you're inundating yourself with Pepsi, whatever you're going to do to an extreme almost is going to be detrimental.
Yeah.
Almost everything, right?
Yeah.
I inundated myself with fighting, right?
Right.
We'll see what happens in 10 years.
Right.
I bet you I might be more sore than you.
Yeah.
My body might break a little faster.
Might.
You know?
Right.
Like, hopefully, my wife said she's not going to push me in a wheelchair. Hopefully, you will.
You'll have, well,
you know?
We'll get you one of those jazzy things.
Perfect.
Little
but we don't know, right? So my point is, and it's going to be my point all the way through this, is I'm not telling you to go have sex with 1,000 people.
Sure, don't go Will
right?
Chamberlain.
Don't, you know?
Do you believe this?
I don't know. Probably.
30,000, is that what he said?
I believe it.
30,000.
I believe it.
Somebody broke it down mathematically. That's pretty amazing.
It's awesome. Good for
him.
It's awesome. Yeah. Fuck yeah. Good for him.
You just said you weren't going to tell everybody to do that.
So that's not the way to go.
Okay.
Right? If what you want is a family with kids.
Okay.
Right? You know?
Right.
But some people don't want that.
Right.
You know? So go ahead and do your thing.
Right. Stats show most people do want
most
that.
people do. Yeah, I'm not going to disagree with you, right? So most people do, and I think most people that don't want it get there because of some other issues, right? Like they've been jaded, they've been
down a road,
you know?
and they're like, I don't want to go down this road anymore.
They're scared, they're afraid, you know? So just like watching a lot of porn is no good. It's not. I'm not going to say it is. But if you watch some porn, it's not like the end of the world if you watch some porn. And I know you guys tell people that it is.
Well, let me say one thing, and I totally agree. I think we'll have a big point of agreement on this. I think Christians have this tendency to like overdo it in regards to there's a tendency to make sex out like it is the deadliest sin. You know, if you have sex outside of marriage, it's the deadliest sin. If you look at porn, it's the deadliest sin. It's the worst, and it's the greatest, and it's the whatever. You know, so what you end up dealing with is you end up with a whole lot of people who grow up in a context where they are taught it's never said this way, but it comes across this way. Sex is dirty and wrong and bad. Save it for marriage. And then you're like, wait a second. Yeah. I've been told my whole life this is dirty, wrong, and bad, and now that I'm in the context of marriage, I can't just turn that off. This all is weird. You've programmed me in a weird way. What I would say, once again, is
so why not just have a little bit of good, healthy sex?
Well, good, healthy sex is in the context of marriage.
But you can have good, healthy sex out of marriage as well.
Nobody's saying, well, some people do and they shouldn't. Nobody's saying that sex outside of marriage feels bad. Or anything like that.
No, I'm not saying
or it's by nature like this. Like, you know,
I'm not saying feel. I'm not saying the actual feeling of when you have an orgasm, right? Or the enjoyment of actually having sex, right? You can have plenty of good, healthy sex. And I'm going to say that it's pretty natural. Well, and as an adult human being, right, that doesn't die at 30, right, and doesn't get married at 14 or 12, right? that, I did think it's a really good rule, thousands of years ago. Because you got married at so young and you died at 30. Mm-hmm. So not having sex with the 8-year-old is a great rule.
Right.
It's beautiful. It's awesome. Yes, perfect. Mm-hmm. Don't do that. Mm-hmm. Right? But come 16, 17 years old, right? Mm-hmm. When you're going to die and you want to actually procreate and maybe teach the kids a little bit of something, mm-hmm. right? Have some time to procreate. So, you start having sex at 15, 16, 17, 18, and then there it is, right? Yeah. It's no different than what's happened now. We just don't get married that young.
Yeah, I think that's a problem too, but that's another discussion. So let me ask you this.
And I'm not saying that I'm not saying that a lot of 15-year-olds should be having sex. This is not my argument, right?
Yeah.
Like, sex can be a very difficult thing to deal with because of our level of consciousness that can make you very twisted.
And that's what I wanted to ask you about next. So if you have, let me just use you for example, right? So if you have, you're 17, you were dating a girl, mm-hmm. and you did not have sex with her, mm-hmm. and then you broke up. Okay? Yeah. You're 17 and you dated another girl and you did have sex with her and you broke up.
Yeah.
Which was the harder breakup?
I don't know. Oh, you want to know my hardest breakup?
Well, sure, if you want.
I'll tell you what it was. The one that hurt the absolute most was the first one. I was devastated and I didn't bang her.
Yeah.
You know what you want? Oh my God, this is so stupid. This is hilarious.
Are you going to cry on me?
No, I'm not going to cry on you.
I just need to know ahead of time because I don't do well when people cry.
No, so I knew that this girl had sex and I hadn't.
Right.
Right? And there were multiple times.
Creates a lot of jealousy.
Yeah, there were multiple times when we could have had sex.
Yeah.
Right? We could have, and she came up with some reason not to. So I always watched the finals, the Final Four, the final game with my dad.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah. That's funny.
Always.
My dad did that.
You know? Always. And we still even call each other now. Mm-hmm. You know? So she calls me up and wants to hang out, and I'm like, look, I am watching the game with my dad. You know? And she's like, are you sure? And I'm like, yeah, I'm sure. You know? Looking back on it, was dumb. You know? So she's like, do you mind if I come over? I'm like, yeah, you can totally come over. You know? So my dad and I watched the game, and then she wants to go upstairs in my room and have sex. And my mom is in the very next room watching a movie. And I'm like, no.
Yeah.
No, like, this is, no. What the fuck are you talking about?
Right.
I'm like, all this other time that we could have done this, and you want to do it now?
They've had an interesting pathological
she was
profile.
A little But anyway, I was devastated. I was devastated, and I never had sex with her.
Yeah. So
I don't even think I touched her that much.
I had this discussion with a buddy of mine.
So your theory's wrong. Go ahead, say it.
Okay, but I had this.
Go ahead. Wrong.
So back to that. So no, I wasn't saying for you, for her. Who was that harder on?
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, I would say
she wasn't that into me.
Okay, but 90% of the time, would you agree or disagree? Most of the time, sex is involved.
Things.
It makes it harder.
It complicates things.
Why does it do that?
Because we have a higher state of consciousness, and we can think about something, and we have an emotional response to sex.
Absolutely.
I know, and you give this credit to God.
All I'm saying is it makes it a way bigger deal than just.
It does. I'm not going to say it doesn't. Yeah, for sure. I'm not going to say that it doesn't make it a bigger deal. I just don't give the credit to God.
Okay, but all that to say, I don't think there's any reason to throw stones at the Christian perspective if taught well and correctly, which is, hey, sex is a gift from God. It's really awesome. God didn't have to give it to you. It is,
because it's not a gift from God.
Okay.
You still have to prove, first you have to prove this God thing, which you can't do. Second, and don't say I can't disprove it, because, I know I can.
We've had that talk.
Yeah, we've had that talk. Don't try to, disprove something that's not there.
Right.
And secondly, look, why can't you just teach people, right? It's like ice cream, man. Right? What's your favorite flavor?
So you want to go to the Ben and Jerry's route with it?
No, just tell me what you... I answered your question. What's your favorite flavor?
Well, this is...
Just
I'm
answer the question.
I'm a white guy, and I now have to say vanilla, and I don't like that.
That's fine.
I really like that.
My dad's a black guy. That's his favorite too, so it doesn't matter. Right? We always had some Breyers vanilla bean ice cream.
I like vanilla bean, man. It's so good.
He loves it. Yeah, no, it's cool, man. You know, black and white.
But it's even better if you mix in a little caramel. So
he liked it straight.
Straight.
You know?
I could go there.
What's your favorite? Your favorite's vanilla, right? but you have a favorite because why?
Because you've tried it.
You've tried some other, of course. You see where I'm going, but you've tried some other things. Do you eat ice cream every day when you're a kid? No, right? But you eat some ice cream.
Right.
And then you develop, it's just like this with everything. You have a favorite movie. You have a favorite everything. So, because you've had some actual experience.
Yeah,
some actual healthy, normal, natural experience with the other things. Yeah. Not an abundant amount of sitting in front of a TV screen, watching every movie that's ever been created by man, right? And being a weirdo because you don't know how to actually talk to an actual person.
Right, that's a whole other...
Right? It's like the parents that won't give their kids sugar. Right? You see that kid go to a birthday party and not play at all and just sit over at the bowl going, oh my God, sugar, oh God. And they look up for a second and they're like,
what is this?
Right? Because they can't handle.
Yeah, what I will say is this though: if you take somebody who's never had ice cream, for example, to use your metaphor, and you give them vanilla bean,
they're gonna love it.
They're gonna love it.
Oh yeah.
They're not gonna have a problem with vanilla bean because they've never known anything else.
Someone else's chocolate. Until they see someone else's dark chocolate.
Our metaphors have gotten so crazy today. Could see that this was coming, but all my point is that can you really find a problem with saying, you know what?
Yeah, it teaches fear.
No,
Your whole religion does.
No, let me finish what I'm saying.
So, Cody, I interrupted
Cody, he's doing it
right there. Damn it! Go finish.
Can you really find a problem with? I want to make sure you get out of here on time.
What time is it?
7:54.
I have 10 minutes.
10. All right. So, do you really have a problem with? So, this is the way I teach, and this is the way I communicate. Listen. Sex is awesome. Sex is great. It's beautiful. It's good. It's not the end of the world if you have sex before marriage. It's not some sin that's unforgivable. It's not, C.S. Lewis put it really, really well. He had a whole chapter on chastity and mere Christianity. People keep telling you to read that book, I've noticed. Pick yourself up and move on. It's not the end of the world, all right? But the best case scenario is one man, one woman in the context of marriage, and you don't have sex until that day. Yes. So save this beautiful, beautiful thing so that you have two people who go, we've only ever experienced this with each other, and it's awesome.
Yeah, I do have a problem.
What's wrong with that?
Because it plays on your fear, because your jealousy and all that other stuff that you need to learn how to deal with.
I don't understand.
And how do you... Good sex is very important, right?
Are you sure?
And I'm going to make an assumption you've only had sex with your wife?
Correct.
Okay? What if it was just not compatible? Because I've had sex with more people.
Yeah.
Right? And sometimes it just doesn't work. Sometimes you get done and you're like, don't get me wrong, that was great. Right?
Oh, yeah, there's levels of...
You know what I mean? But sometimes, and then you have these other relationships, and I think this is healthy and natural and normal to know about, right? That you have these other relationships where the sex is really, really good.
Right.
But you don't communicate on any other level.
Right.
Right? In those relationships, that relationship doesn't work.
Right.
So it's not all this sex thing, right?
Right.
But some good sex is normal, right?
Yeah, sex is great fuel for a relationship.
Yeah, and what happens? And you got married very young, right? You dated one girl, but just Allie, basically, for the most part, right? When did you guys start dating?
I was 16.
16, right?
Yeah.
Well, I was a dork. No girl would date me. What can I say? I can show you this picture.
I was just smart enough to go, it's not going to get any better than her. So
sure.
Just, knock it down,
And if you're happy, then you're happy. I don't think that happiness lasts, though, in most cases. In most cases. Because you can't help but wonder what someone else is like a lot of the time.
Yeah, I don't think that there's, of course there's the wondering thing that happens or all that, but the one thing that I think is interesting about sex is it gets better with practice. Like I had this discussion with a buddy a while back.
For sure.
I was like, it's like anything else.
Yeah.
It gets better with practice. So if you put two people together, I was 20, Allie was 21 or whatever, and you go for the next 14 years, figure out what works. That's a lot of fun practice, man. That's good times.
No, but that isn't the case with just when you only do it with one person. That's the case when you do it. Doesn't matter.
Well, but you're changing a big variable every time. Which is the other person.
Yeah, but you figure out what works for you in multiple levels. Do I like the way this person thinks about the world? Do I like the way this person cleans the house? Do I like the way this person, whatever it is, do I like the way that I have sex with this person?
Sure.
Right?
Sure.
And where do these things all fit together, and do I move on? A lot of times what happens, I think, is, and I've seen it in my own personal experiences, people marry the wrong person just so that they can bone.
Oh, people marry the wrong person for lots of reasons.
For lots of reasons, but one of them is on the religious side, so that they can bone.
Sure.
Because they want to have sex without this sitting thing. I don't understand why they care, because it's going to be forgiven anyway. I don't understand why you care at all.
But I think we put way too much stock in this whole compatibility thing, and that may be another discussion for another day. But I think that when everybody's looking for their friggin' soulmate and all that kind of thing, I think it doesn't exist. Like, because it doesn't even make sense to say if you missed, like, because if you missed the mark and you pick the wrong person, we all do.
Yeah.
Because it creates a domino effect throughout the rest of the world.
Yeah, one divorce ends the soulmate.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't think that's the case. But I do think we put way too much stock in the whole compatibility thing, where we go, man, you got to be my match, and I got to be your match, and probably all the internet dating stuff creates that.
No. So I'll agree with you, right? And people are going to be like, where does it stop, right? Because this is always how you guys go there. Where does it end? Like the morality thing. What's the bottom line? I can't tell you what the bottom line is. I can't tell you what a good, healthy number of people to sleep with is, and a good, healthy people not to. And for some people, it might be one, and for other people, they might need a little more, because we're all a little different, right? Yeah. I'm not telling you that Scott and your wife, Allie, man, you guys have only had sex with each other. Right. You waited until you were married, and then I'm not telling you that this is going to go badly. Right. I'm not saying that, because it does. I'm not saying I put no rules on anything, just like everything else. Yeah, not everything. Right. Like, I don't put any rules on what I think you are allowed and not allowed to do in your personal life, right? As long as it doesn't affect somebody else. Right. I'm trying to think as I'm going here. Yeah, you can't fucking murder somebody, you know what I mean? Things like that, right? But it has no effect on anything but you. Right? So therefore, go ahead and do whatever you feel is comfortable. But don't teach people that something else is wrong.
Yeah, the interesting thing is this, though. When I sit down with people, and I just had this discussion last week with somebody who I was talking a little bit about what we were going to be talking about. I was like, so listen, what's wrong with saying, you know what would be best is one person and another person who've never had sex with anybody.
But you don't know what's best.
Hold on. What's wrong with saying what is ideal, is don't bring any other baggage into the relationship. You two just together figure this thing out, and you don't have all those old tapes in your head of, well, this girl and that guy and all that kind of thing. What's wrong with saying that would actually be better? And the guy who I was talking about was like, I would kill to have had that experience.
Well, maybe we don't know what his past experiences are.
I do, but and
I know you're not going to say it,
no,
right?
And I know,
but I'll
for both of them in that relationship what some of their past experiences were, and he was like, I would kill to have had that experience versus having brought all this other baggage into the relationship.
So these people, I don't want to speak for them,
sure,
right? But I'll tell you this: if I found out my wife whored herself out and every corner I went on, prior to me,
right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Then I would probably not be okay with that.
Right.
You know what I mean? What's that?
Why?
Because I think there's a point where there's too much.
Mm-hmm. So was it on the 10th corner or the 20th?
I don't know. I don't know where. I don't know where it would be.
Somewhere in there.
You know what I mean? Okay. I don't know where it would be. Yeah. And I have no clue how many people my wife slept with, and she has no clue how many people I slept with. I don't even remember how many people I've slept with.
Right.
And it's not 100.
Right.
Right. It's not 50.
Yeah.
I have no clue.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone's going to be like, oh, it's 39. I have to stop somewhere, right? I don't know. And I don't think she knows either anymore for her, right? What I know is that we work together, right? I don't have to deal with every day seeing somebody. She doesn't have to deal with every day seeing somebody that the other person.
Oh, I see. Okay.
You know what I mean? Because I won't deny that there is a jealousy factor in all of us.
Sure.
Right? So, we just go with our lives. I'm really, really happy that she had sex before me.
Okay.
I am ecstatic that she had sex before me. I don't want to be her end-all, be-all of anything.
Yeah, you don't want to make each other your your God. That doesn't go well.
I don't want to do that, right?
Right.
I want her to have some experiences in life, you know. And look, if my son, I'll have to sit down and talk to my kids about it, right? And try to explain it to them.
Yeah.
Just like I try to explain all this other, you know.
Right.
The God thing just makes it so easy. It makes the whole thing so easy. Life, death, birth, sex. It's just so easy. Look, there's some rules. And I just don't think it's that easy.
Yeah.
And it's all, in my opinion, based on a lot of fear.
Yeah.
A lot of fear. Don't do this. Don't go 2 knuckles deep.
Yeah.
Don't, you know what I mean? Whatever it may be, right? Because you're not allowed to do that. Right?
What are we saying?
But there's even rules around sex. You guys even have rules around what is okay in sex.
Between a man and a woman?
Yeah.
No.
Can you have anal sex?
Sure.
You can.
Sure.
God said nothing about it.
Not between a man and a woman, no.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah.
Then how do people get there? Where do they read this?
Well, people do a lot of, again, we'll get back into the people do a lot of harm to what was originally taught.
I'm gonna have to look on it a little bit.
Yeah.
If sodomy is okay.
Yeah. Don't Google it right now.
Why?
Because I don't know what's going to happen.
We have these computers here in front of us.
Well, at the end of the day, I know. I didn't even use mine today. At the end of the day, though, I think you, from your perspective, have a lot tougher time explaining why.
Of course, I never said I don't. I would have a tougher time.
All right.
Yeah, because you just fall back on some bullshit belief. I never.
It just feels more.
My way is so much harder. I'm not saying my way's easier.
It just feels so much more consistent to land with the you and me, baby ain't nothing but mammals, so let's do it like they do on the Discovery Channel. That sounds consistent with your belief that procreation is the highest aim of sex.
Yep.
So you're being inconsistent, is all I'm saying.
No, it is the highest thing. And there's some other factors to it.
Okay. But there's a lot of inconsistency in that. Like, why can't you just go procreate with as many people as possible then? Why shouldn't you? Why shouldn't you?
How do you think we got here?
Why shouldn't you?
How do you think we got here?
Why shouldn't you now?
This is like when your boy Jason Gray asked me yesterday, what if there were schools with only white people? You know?
It did used to be schools.
That's what I said. I was like, have you not seen the first
schools in Colorado?
Have you not seen the first 200 years of this country's history? Like, are you forgetting this? Oh, you want to take this last 30 or 40 or so and just call it good?
And when I'm in the hug and go lane, and we call it the thug and go lane, because people act like thugs, which, you know, it doesn't apply to our previous conversations. There's like one black kid in my kid's school, and it's like this when their parents go to pick them up, I'm like, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You know, I'm sorry that you have to put up with all these white people and other white people problems, you know. So,
what it is?
I don't know. You got to roll, though.
Yeah.
It's 8:05.
All right, let's do this.
All right, bro. All right, it was a good discussion today. This should garner some results on the Facebook page, I would imagine.
Again, my people are gonna love you, and you're gonna have this conversation, and all of your people are gonna hate me. But what can you do?
Yeah.
All praise be to Allah. Or one of them. I don't know which one it is.
Peace out, people.